Hey, what's happening, everybody? Today is April 5th, which in the Star Trek universe would be considered First Contact Day. But of course, as many people would know, as revealed in Star Trek First Contact, that would be in the year 2063, which would be 41 years from now. I mean, at that point, I'd be like almost 76. Hopefully, I get to see that remarkable day. But anyway, the reason I guess that particular event, recollection, is because today was also the day that Star Trek the Motion Picture, finally got the 4K restoration on streaming. And of course, for many people that may or may not know, of course, Star Trek the Motion Picture was released December 1979, around the same year that other popular movies such as the first Alien movie and the 11th James Bond movie, Moonraker, came out. And I would say what got Star Trek to make its return to the big screen 10 years after its cancellation, back in 1969, after 3 seasons on NBC, was because 2 years prior, was, as many people know, because of Star Wars, which, holy shit, can't believe it's celebrating its 45th anniversary, but that'll be a review for another time. So basically, because of the Star Wars success and craze, it kind of led to, films like Moonraker, going into space. But that will be another discussion for another time. And it kind of led to the push of the return of the original cast, into the feature film, even though initially the idea was to turn it into, a phase 2 television series. But, I guess they were considered too expensive, to produce. So they figured, instead of, scrapping the sets, they figured why not, go big and, give fans what they want, with the cinematic concept, and bringing the much beloved original cast into the cinematic franchise. And of course, the events, bring back the characters of Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Uhura, Chekhov, Sulu, Janice Rand, and of course Christine Chapel, into the newly refitted USS Enterprise. And of course, the ship gets a totally whole new design, new bridge, new engineering, the sick bay, the whole works. So the premise behind the story is a mysterious alien, named by the name of V'Ger, is on its way to Earth. And of course, Kirk and company are sent, to investigate, the cause of V'Ger, and to try to stop it before it annihilates, Earth. And out of the 6, feature films that the original cast did, I've always found the motion picture, I would say, the weakest of the 6, even though some people don't like Final Frontier, even though I like that one. And the reason I say that is because of the very slow pacing. It's like a great visual spectacle, with decent effects, but it was kind of obvious, I guess, that some of the effects didn't look completed because Paramount at the time was trying to rush the film, to reach its Christmas release date of 1979 at the time. And it's a lot of techno babble, which I know Star Trek is known for, which is fine depending on the extent, but it felt like V'Ger as entity was not really a compelling story. It kind of felt more like watching a 2001 Space Odyssey. And the reason why I compare it to that particular film is because in the case of 2001 Space Odyssey, which in my personal opinion is highly overrated, but others may disagree, is because visually it's very impressive, but the story is just flat. Even though I will say what gives the motion picture credit is how the newer characters like Willard Deckard, the son of Matt Deckard from the episode The Doomsday Device, and of course Lieutenant Ilea, who was a Deltan. I mean, they were, I would say, among the standouts, in the film. It's too bad that, of course, they weren't able to be utilized in the future sequels. So, and I mean, it kind of feels like, I mean, I know because it's the transition for the original cast from television to feature, and I mean, the chemistry's still there amongst the three leads of Will Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, and DeForest Kelley, but because of the transition, the dynamic still feels a little off after them being on hiatus on screen for 10 years. But they still got the magic and the chemistry. But I feel like for me, which thankfully Wrath of Khan corrected, was by having more of a compelling story, better villain and better pacing, which, like I said, motion picture suffers from. I mean, however, when watching the director's cut of the movie, it's nice to see how the film would have looked visually had they had more time to complete the effects like they intended to, and I guess give the film like a tighter pacing of sorts by cutting out the unnecessary trail through V'ger, which quite honestly slows the film down tremendously. But I will say, for those that are a fan of the original cast, I mean, it's great to see them on screen again. I won't deny that. However, I mean, if they really wanted to bring them back in a spectacular way, which of course wasn't done until Wrath of Khan, they could have found a more, like I said, compelling story that would have, I guess, in a sense, warranted, the return of the original cast. And at the time, the film was met with mixed reception. Wasn't box office failure, but not as successful as it could have been because of the $45 million production budget, which was rather high for that time. And of course, because of that, the Wrath of Khan's budget was reduced from $45 million to, I think, about $12 million or 14. But it goes to show you sometimes you can make a better movie on a smaller budget than a bigger budget, I guess, even though it's very good to have that particular budget. So I guess that's pretty much all there is to say about Star Trek. I would call the slow picture, but that's it. That's pretty much all there is to say about it. So for those, I guess, that have seen it, feel free to comment, see what they think about it, see how the movie holds up more than 40 years later, what they liked it, what they didn't like, and of course, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, happy, First Contact Day, Star Trek fans. Thanks.